everyone, and welcome to Backseat Sports. I'm Josh, and that is Caleb. And today we're talking about this Iowa game, the season, and breaking it all down. Obviously, two Husker fans reacting to Nebraska's tough season, to say the least. So we have a lot to talk about today, get through today, and it's going to be interesting. Obviously, with tons of news going around college football and a lot more. But first, I gotta ask Kev, how you doing?
You know, Josh, I'm just tying the the most losses in a single season in Nebraska history. It's just so clear to see the improvement. You know, I see it.
Oh no, coming out swinging.
I see where we're going. You know, losing 9 games, the most Nebraska's ever lost in the history of our over 100 years of football at our program. I see where we're going, and it's a bright place.
Of course. I mean, we have a lot to talk about today. It's going to be a fun one. And with full of positivity and energy, obviously.
See, that's what I'm saying. I can see where we're going. I just see it.
So I guess we can start with the Iowa game, talk about some of those things, and then talk a little bit bigger picture here heading into the offseason. Obviously, we have a lot of videos coming down the barrel here. We have the Cornies coming up, hopefully later this week, at the latest, early next week. We'll see what happens with the schedule. But
all the players are on the edge of their seats.
Of course.
To get that award.
Of course. And so that's going to be a blast. And
is this our third annual?
Third annual
Cornies.
Right.
Man.
So that's going to be exciting. And which is, of course, if you guys are confused, ranking all the players on Nebraska, which is why it's a great time. And we'll be going through all of that, and it's going to be a blast. So, Iowa game. I mean, we lost 28-21. It's crazy because, you know, when we did our predictions last week, at that point, we were still underdogs coming off of the Adrian Martinez news. But the line kept moving and inching halfway closer and closer. And by kickoff, we were the favorite again. By 1 point. So, I mean, technically.
Part of that was the Milt story where the guy said to place it, you know, unusually large bets, which was a great story. Scott Van Pelt tweeted that out too. It's like, that was pretty fun. But
it's just crazy because it's like, you know, technically by what it all would account, we got upset at home by number 16 Iowa. Heading into the game, a 3-8 Nebraska team got upset at home by number 16, 9-2 Iowa. Let's start with the biggest thing here. Logan Smothers obviously coming in, giving his audition to be Nebraska's starting quarterback next year. Obviously, we're going to have to talk about what happens maybe in the transfer portal if that ends up being a discussion. That's been a big thing, obviously, with all Husker fans talking about. But Logan Smothers came in 16 of 22, 198 yards, a touchdown, an INT, no touchdowns. Thoughts on his performance and how he played?
Yeah, he did have 2 rushing touchdowns, though, on 24 carries, which was quite a bit. You know, again, just like really impressive. I mean, a lot of really good throws from him, honestly. There was a couple really well timed. He clearly knew the offense.
Yeah, man.
Again, it's a lot of speed when it was with him. And that first half, especially, was just so exciting. We did a lot of really unique plays. Josh and I had talked about before the game, like, hey, we need to see a lot of creativity in this game if we want to win.
Open up the freaking playbook.
Yeah, and then funny enough, Scott Frost said we needed to open up the playbook at halftime, which was so weird because I thought in the first half we really did open the playbook up well. With like the double option play was so awesome with Brody Belt and Yant. That option play was super awesome. The 4th and 1 schemed Vokalek little like pass option there, and Austin Allen blocked incredibly
the amount of
well.
pistol diamond plays and offset pistols that we were running was beautiful.
We gave him a ton of looks.
I mean, like when it came to like running creativity in the first half, it was about as creative as we've gotten this season with play calling. And I was really happy with it. Like, all right, Scott, I see you calling these plays.
And on the first half, you know, we were getting good yards per carry, and we were really keeping them on their toes. They did not know if Logan was going to pass or throw. And Austin Allen caught some, you know, nice that one really long catch. Omar caught a nice long catch. Like, there was a lot of really good stuff there. I don't know. And then like even in the third quarter a little bit, like when we had that other sustained touchdown drive, it was kind of more of that same, just really keeping them on their toes. And I thought we were really putting in our, you know, the body blows with some of those run game to just keep it up in the second half and just kind of do what all Big Ten teams do is you got a big lead like that. We're just going to run the clock, run the ball, and see you next year.
Case, we're down. Let's just run more. Let's just run more.
They can't do anything else except for Laporta. That was what was so
Laporta,
frustrating.
Man.
just the obvious stuff that we just get burnt with every single year from the tight ends. Like, it's just like,
but
it's
I mean,
the
like
same
it was,
thing.
And like, if only we do that more with us. I know,
yeah, run the same thing. Everybody does it against us.
Austin Allen ended up with only 2 catches in this game. And again, it's like a type of guy where it's like, man, he's an X factor. He matches up well against his Iowa defense. Like, you'd think we have some chances
every defense,
here.
Honestly.
Well, that's the thing. And like, you think that you could end up utilizing him a little bit more effectively than 2 catches. He had a few nice like blocks on the outside as well. But like overall, like you want to see more from him there in his final game in Nebraska uniform.
And whether that was Logan or Adrian, we said it with everyone because again, he's such a big target. Again, like 6'9", like emphasizing 6'9", and could move and has great hands. Like and could jump. Like his catch radius is so massive. Like I can't believe we didn't get the ball to him more. Like even still at the end of the season, it's just like he's probably going to be first team All Big Ten tight end. And we did not get him the ball enough.
Yeah, very, very possible. And
I mean, he will definitely be an All Big Ten tight end, no matter whether it's first, second, or third team. So
yeah. I mean, PFF has him graded as the 4th best tight end overall, who played I think over like 20 snaps or maybe 40 snaps on the season in the country. So pretty impressive stuff from Austin Allen this season. I mean, again, a guy like that in a normal offense, he only had 2 touchdowns this year. Like in a normal offense, a guy like this
6.
would have at least 6 or 7. Like with a few end zone fades or something around the backside, like, the backside of the end zone, getting him across the middle, something like that to get him the ball.
And the crazy thing is, like, we tried, but
it just wasn't executed well.
Yeah, like, which is just crazy because he's such a big
Obviously,
target.
Passing for us was just a problem. Yeah, and red zone protection. I mean, really, it does. There is. I mean, obviously, we dog on Adrian a little bit with his red zone passing and him zinging the thing out the backside of the end zone half the time. But like, obviously, Turner Corcoran and Bryce Benhart were the crux of a lot of the problems for Nebraska this year in the passing game. And that
can't be understated how bad they were.
And like that still came back in this game as well. And I guess we can talk more about that in a second, but I want to finish up with Logan Smothers here real quick.
Yeah.
He had a lot of really good moments. He had a lot of really, really good moments. Like you said, some of the top end speed was shown off in this game. Some nice zinged balls across the middle of the field.
And he made
really,
good reads
really
on
solid
those read options.
And some nice reads overall. And like, even when he was making some of these mistakes, he put the ball in places where only a receiver could get it. Like that back throw, the back shoulder throw to Torrey on, what was it, the final drive or this?
Yeah. And the catch that Vokalek got taken back too, like those sideline throws, they were really good.
Like at least he's even when he was missing, he was putting in some pretty good spots. But obviously there was 3 huge mistakes that defined the game. And that came from
none bigger.
I mean, obviously there was just 3 massive ones. The fumbled snap or the fumbled handoff the fumbled handoff or exchange there was just devastating. The safety in the end zone and then the INT to end the game. Kind of the 3 overall mistakes. The INT though is tough to say whose fault it was, whether that was Logan's or one of the receivers. On film, it looked like it was a receiver's fault.
Yeah, because Omar and Torrey both ran the same route.
So they both ran like crossing routes.
Like literally like 5 yards apart from one another. Like unless they were trying to get a one-on-one matchup somewhere.
Like sometimes you'll run those like double crossing routes, but one's more of an underneath and one's more of like a deep crossing route. But
they were really close together.
And usually that entails with another receiver crossing like either between them or one underneath to kind of create some chaos in the middle of the field, but that wasn't the route at all. So it felt like a weird play, a broken play, and that's the way he threw the pick. But obviously,
maybe it was a curl option for the one guy that was kind of open. Either he could have gone or he could have stopped, and there was some miscommunication there. I mean, obviously that really stinks.
Yeah, I mean, but what are your thoughts on like the safety and the fumbled exchange? Because I mean, those are 2 mistakes that a young quarterback makes that you should never make there. And
I'd say with the safety, I'm frustrated at the play call. Like we passed on the first down, we got 3 yards, and so now you've spread them out already. Like we threw a pass, we spread them out. Now they have to respect that in this short field situation. Now on second down,
do you trust our running success that we've had in the first half there? Like that's
exactly.
We've been seeing the success running the ball here with these pistol diamond formations and getting the ball outside. Like even if you run an option there, I'd rather run the option than probably throw like a normal 5. Like it looked like a 3-step drop or something at the red zone like that with a freshman
and
obviously freshman quarterback.
Obviously, I think it was Sichterman who got just fried.
Yeah, that sounds right. That sounds right.
I think it was Sichterman.
Right, because obviously, a veteran quarterback would know in his head, if I'm pressured here near the red zone, I have my release here. My release is Wyatt Lure in the flat right here.
But the problem is, it was on his opposite side.
Right, but the thing is, a veteran quarterback would say, if I see nothing in the first read or maybe the second read at latest, I'm dumping that thing off to Wyatt immediately, and if anything, throwing it at his feet, just right past the line, right past the end zone here. A veteran quarterback dials those things up, and a young guy's gonna make those mistakes. So that's tough to see for Logan. Obviously, the pressure was insane. I'm not fully blaming him there because if we have one more second of protection,
it was
there's a chance that's a touchdown. Because
that was the crazy thing. It was Murray Toure and Omar Manning were both and they were both on the right side of the field. And just the way that play was set up, Omar was gonna take the safety and
so either Torrey's open or Omar's open, depending on where the safety goes.
And I think because Omar burnt his corner, the safety was going to have to help up top. And it looked like Samari would have got 20, 25 yards at least. And it could have been a touchdown. But, that's part of it. But again, it's just, it's 2nd and 7. We passed it on first down. It's we are backed up here. Let's run it with Yant. Let's get a couple yards. Let's try to get this first down on the ground here.
It's always weird to me with Frost because it's he's just
it's such a dangerous
spot.
It up
is what he always says, but it's
it's always at the worst times.
He dials it up at the wrong times. What is happening?
It's because nobody will see this coming, but it's but maybe for a reason because you shouldn't do it. I don't know.
I mean, again, with Adrian, at least you he's been there before, so it's I could maybe see it, but with a redshirt freshman quarterback, trusting him to make that right play.
And again, he already made a throw on first down. Again, you've done your job of not making him stack the whole box.
It's an interesting debate because maybe no matter what he does, if the mistake happens and you're just oh, well, you should have called something else. Because it's what if you run the option and then he makes a mistake on the option? You're well, he shouldn't have ran the option.
But he hadn't done it in the first half.
Right.
I mean, obviously,
exactly.
The handoff there at the end with Brody belting him. Again, that's kind of
tough.
It's on probably both of them a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was a triple. I think it was a run pass option there, but. He did enough to win this game.
Oh, for sure. Logan did enough to win the game.
Logan did a great job for a backup QB, first start ever, and to go against a really great defense.
Up by 15.
And put us up 15 in the fourth quarter, and we had
in the third.
According to ESPN, we had a 94.6% chance to win.
Yeah, insane.
He threw 16 of 22, and that's a better percentage than Adrian's had these past few games to be,
Mm-hmm. And he was executing the ball. He was executing those passes well towards the sideline, like we said. So overall, it was a very solid game where at least you felt very happy with what he gave us. And if worse comes to worse, and he's back, and Frost is back next year, which everything's pointing to that. And with everything we're seeing and with the likes of Logan being back, we can win games with Logan Smothers, which is at least
I think he'll improve. He could have taken some better angles on some of those runs that he had, to cut up the field more, to make him move.
There's a few situations where all right, Adrian might get that first down here. Adrian might have punched that one at the end.
Yeah, or that 10 yards might have been 25 yards. That's just an experience thing at that point. Again, in practice, you're not having dudes hitting you like that, so.
Yep. So we'll see. It was just tough overall. I mean, again, the O-line was the real problem again, where there's just a few moments you're just oh my word, what is that?
We need a replacement for Bryce Benhart and Turner Cochran so bad.
Yeah, so I mean, to put this into perspective a little bit, on PFF, Turner finished with a 0 pass block rating on the season, which was dead last in all of the FBS out of all tackles in pass blocking, dead last out of 130 FBS teams.
That's
Turner was right there. Benhart was 21st,
players,
21st worst as well. So I mean, that's hundreds and hundreds of players.
That's 400. That's an insane
upwards
amount.
Of 400 players, yeah.
And they are almost dead last. One is dead last, and one is almost dead last.
Yeah, one is 21st last
in the pass protection. Again,
it's tough.
You can say, oh, well, that was Allen's fault as the coach. or Greg Austin. It was Greg Austin's fault as the offensive line coach.
Turner allowed 26 hurries.
26 hurries. Yeah.
5 more than
hurries.
the next most.
But like, if Scott Frost brought this guy in, right, and he's this inept, doesn't that give you any red flags? That'd just be my question. Like, just honestly, like, if he brought this guy on, hired this guy, believed this guy to be good,
yeah,
and he just developed a dead last offensive tackle on a 21st, and a guy that allowed 26 QB hurries, 5 more than anyone else in the entire country. And we couldn't have anybody else develop like better. Like, that doesn't give you any sense of concern.
I mean, it's kind of like it's like the dinner argument. It's like, if you get bad food at a restaurant, are you blaming the waiter? I mean, maybe they left it sitting somewhere a little bit too long, but you're really blaming the cook. I mean, that's what you're blaming. And I mean, Scott Frost is the cook here. Like, come on,
we've
like,
had
help them out.
4 years to get offensive linemen. He's like, they're this bad.
So that's what's tough, I think, and like, that's where we're a little bit more negative on Frost than some heading into the next season, and we'll talk about that more here in a second.
No.
But O-line's a problem, and like, it's got to be priority number 1 heading into next year. Like, it's hard not to think, like, could you imagine what would happen if our offensive tackles performed like Big Ten average tackles this year? We would have put up 30 in multiple games and probably beat some of these teams. Oh yeah, I mean, we are significantly worse than Northwestern's O-line this year. And Northwestern couldn't put up more than like 14 most games.
It's hard to say that we must have been the worst. I'd even assume that Rutgers was probably better than us.
Oh yeah, I would imagine.
Like, we were by far the worst.
At least in pass blocking, at least, for sure.
In the run, like, there was some promise at some times.
Yeah.
Like, Sichterman, like, even had moments of looking good on the run.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. It's like where. Like, we actually saw Cam Jurgens pretty consistent improvement this year. He was very, very solid this year. And like, he took big leaps from last year, and we still were worse.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, I knew like Jaime was just such a loss losing him.
And you go from an NFL like worthy player to the worst, one of the worst in the country.
There's just no amount
That's the problem.
It's not a high amount of progress that can fix that.
No.
But man, it's just rough. And like, that hurt our offense so much, obviously, and has like, just to see our offensive line get worse every single season Scott Frost has been here. Like, it's just like, it's just regressed over and over.
Maybe argue it got slightly better from year 2 to year 3, but then the massive regression in year 4 was.
Yeah, but going right back to square one year 4.
Oh yeah, it was tough. So we'll see. Defensively, let's head over to defense here and talk about the black shirts. I mean, no Deontay Williams in this game, which was really sad to see in his final game in the Nebraska uniform. So we saw a lot of Miles Farmer, a lot of Isaac Gifford in this game to kind of see the future here. Obviously still replacing JoJo Domann as well. The best, most dynamic player on our defense by far this season. He was unbelievable. And so we haven't figured out a good way to replace him yet. And we just saw an average overall blah performance from the black shirts in this game.
Yeah, I mean, again, like, our defense end up like, I think like 39th in the country in most points, like, in points allowed per game, which is respectable. Again, kind of where Josh and I saw it, like, this defense could hopefully be a top 35. But man,
and it was right there all season, yeah.
But once Deontay Williams went out, our run defense got a lot worse.
Again, and then when you compound that without JoJo, man, it's
then our
these last two games, they just wear you down, and eventually they'd start busting off these massive runs because we have nobody to fill the gaps.
Yeah, and obviously, I mean, Reimer did okay in coverage, I'd say.
Hopefully, yeah, absolutely.
Hopefully, I mean, Reimer was very good, obviously, this season. He had those picks and was Big Ten Player of the Week. Hopefully, I mean, he can kind of become a JoJo type guy for us in the future.
Yeah, like the nickelback, more like outside linebacker who specializes in coverage.
Yeah, because he grayed out good in coverage, and you'll see it.
Do you see him as an inside linebacker? Because I don't know if I do at this point.
He's not a great tackler. Like, he's okay, but like, he's not a great run stop guy. But he's good in the pass.
He's not a good run. He's a bad run stop guy, I would honestly go out on the limb and say.
Yeah, him and Henrich both, like, you could be like, oh, but Caleb and Josh, they had a ton of tackles this year. Those guys almost had like 100. But then I'd argue, look at the solo tackles, and that's a big part of it. Like, and look at their tackle for losses. Like they just don't have those.
Well,
numbers.
like when you watch film, they're just not hitting the gaps. Like they're not aggressively.
And again,
converting.
I think that's part defensive scheme.
I mean, probably, yeah. And like we saw, I mean, like we talked how many times that JoJo was the true band-aid of this defense. And so like when you take him out and you see what happens in these games now with JoJo gone,
you just can't coach those instincts.
Yeah.
His football IQ was so high.
And overall just speed and physicality is just hard to replace. And then like you said, it compounds when you let Deontay out, because he was that enforcer. He was the guy around the line of scrimmage that was willing to lay the wood and you know,
that single high safety coverage, bringing him toward the lines of scrimmage, was next level in those beginning parts of the season for us.
Yeah.
And a big reason why we kept in the game with Michigan State.
Agreed. I agree. And so it's like, that's the big thing. It's like, we just never really saw our defense get back to that point as like, you know, elite run stop. Because for a minute there, we thought we might be an elite run stopping defense. And
yeah, we were for a second.
And then Wisconsin and Iowa hit us. So
yeah,
it's just
I mean, yeah,
tough.
with no Deontay, no JoJo, kind of all that the conversation of really elite defense kind of went out the window.
Yeah, and that's what gets really, really tough, where we just saw like, you know, we graded out fantastic like in those run stopping categories, just overall, honestly, defensively up until really, you know, we saw what Wisconsin and Iowa could do to us.
Yeah, we even did a pretty good job against Michigan's, you know, two-headed monster in Corum and Haskins,
and Ohio State.
Yeah, and Ohio State. Yeah, with Henderson.
We kept Henderson in check for most of the game, and like then suddenly it all went out the window.
Thank goodness when we played Ohio State, they did not have Garrett Wilson. I think.
Oh yeah, seeing what Garrett Wilson
people
did.
Are like, oh, we didn't blow Ohio State out. Let me tell you, if they had Njigba, Wilson, and Olave, there is no way we could have held for 4 quarters.
Maybe we played well, but
I think it would have been still, even if you just add a touchdown, like say Garrett Wilson's a touchdown, which he is at this point. He's an extra touchdown.
Well, he's an X factor. He's a lottery ticket for a big play at any point, you know?
Yeah, so that's still, you know, we lose by 16 points, which is still, you know, pretty solid compared to a lot of other teams, but, you know.
Well, I mean, shout out Michigan, though. Insane.
Crazy.
But
I'm so jealous. I wish we could get over the hump. That sounds.
I know, right? But I don't know. Defensively,
hey, but right now we're just happy that we played close and lost 9 games. You know, we're just happy about that. You know.
But yeah, I don't know. Defensively,
buy one get one free tickets. That's what I like about Nebraska football.
Amen. Yeah. So I don't know. What do you think about moving into next year? Like, you know, who are you looking to step up? I mean, you know, hopefully we get back like.
You know, again, Reimer has the potential again in that pass coverage. If he can get better at some of the tackling stuff, again, like he definitely
like, at the beginning of the back, and then you move Reimer outside.
Yeah, again, like because Reimer at the beginning of the season, like everybody thought, like holy smokes, this dude's like an all Big Ten linebacker.
But all of his big plays were in coverage.
He's in pass coverage, yeah. So you know, maybe you switch him out to more of the JoJo role, and then you move. Say Luke Gifford, maybe you switch him for more of the nickelback position and you put him more at an outside linebacker role.
Or Isaac Gifford.
Again, Isaac Gifford. But
he
his
was
tackling
good in coverage.
But the problem is, his tackling was bad too. Our tackling just needs to. I mean, again, he's young, so I'll cut him some slack. But like, still, like Luke Gifford, his older brother, what made him so amazing is, dude, he just tackled everything in space.
Yeah.
Just everything in space. He was getting everybody at the ankles, and they were not going anywhere.
Yeah, and then the pass rush is the problem too here. I think with tackling mixed with pass rush, man, we got so close.
Caleb Tanner an extra year, like that's exciting too a little bit. Caleb Tanner just a little bit. I think he would be exciting too on the linebacking core. That was his best game this last one.
And then that personal foul, man.
Just can't do that. You just can't do that though.
No, you can't. Like I was gonna say, we got. It hurts a little bit more when Spencer Petras comes in the game and we still lose. Because, I mean, both their quarterbacks are trash. They're terrible. And this offense sucks.
It's 124th in the country in yards per game. And we probably only made that worse. Yeah, honestly, we probably made that worse.
So it's just like, it's just really, really crazy. I think there were so many moments where we got so close to Petras and like we just couldn't convert or get a hand on him, and he zips that ball out and gets a first down. You're just like,
and granted, Iowa's offensive line's their best part about their whole team.
For sure. Definitely. Those are just the tough things I think there, where it's just like, I think all season long you wanted to see just a little bit more pass rushing upside from this team, and we just never really saw it. Like we saw flashes of it from Garrett Nelson, but no consistency from Garrett Nelson.
And it's better than it has been for sure.
Yeah.
And shout out, to Toyota. I think our D line got a lot better, a lot deeper, and there was a lot of good moments for them.
We saw good things from like Ty Robinson and DeAndre Thomas and all of these guys throughout the year, but nothing to like hang your hat on. It'll be like, this is a dominant front, but I think there's stuff to build on in the future for sure. So that's what gets tough. Yeah. But other thoughts on this game? I mean, overall, we kind of nailed most of it. Special teams, obviously, like shocker. Iowa outclassed us in all facets of the game.
How do we fix this? I mean, as a Husker fan,
it's unreal.
It killed us. It was the hair of the dog that bit us for the last 4 years. Game. For the last 4 years, but the Michigan State game, we should have won that one.
Yep.
Bad
for the punt.
Iowa, again, we should have won this one. Blocked punt, like
missed field goals against Ohio State.
Missed field goals against Ohio State, against Oklahoma.
Wisconsin?
What? I think
Minnesota.
Minnesota. Yes, against Minnesota. Again, like it's just so much like. This has been 4 years Purdue. At some point, and Scott Frost has hired multiple different guys to get this fixed. We're under allegations because of a special teams coordinator. Like Scott Frost has tried and it hasn't worked. Again, like there has been no improvement, just regression. Again, how like this guy doesn't know how to fix it. How like
let's hope that these coaches are insane. That's what we gotta hope for.
It's literally it's decaying our whole team, and a team that it did improve in some areas this year. Yeah. But at the same time, we regressed in other so. I mean, and again, that's gonna naturally happen a little bit in some areas because again, it's always a revolving door of players.
Iowa yeeting 50-yarders just nailing everything. Just they, side note, little. I did predict that I was going to have 4 field goals in this game. Thank you very much.
They did. The dude didn't miss.
He didn't miss. He's insane. It's just crazy. It's just like automatic. Bang, bang, bang. And we're here like, oh, dear God, please. And that was, the extra point.
And that was a big difference in the Bo Pelini area, obviously, with Henry. Like, he had a 57-yard to win it. Think of how, he was our offense. He was our offense. And you could say our defense was good, but man, it was a good thing that we had the best kicker in the whole entire country, or I guarantee you wouldn't have won, the 9 games that we did those seasons.
Yeah.
So it's something that, again, essentially all Husker teams have had, even since we've been Maher's been good. Henry's been good. Like there's so many good, good punters in college.
Kickoff for touchdown against Wisconsin.
Again, we've had so many good special teams guys just for that. Where's that Nebraska tradition gone? We've had that for 20 years. We used
to be an elite special teams every year,
we were kicker U for a good portion, a good decade there.
For a little bit.
And punter U. So
like Sam Cook's still the freaking NFL.
Yeah, that's insane.
He's 90 years old.
And we've absolutely just where's that tradition? I'd like that back. Talk about bringing back Nebraska traditions with Scott Frost. Yeah. That's absolutely been torn away.
Yeah, so that's
figure it out. Jeez.
Circled 10. Offensive tackles and special teams are 101 circled, highlighted, bolded, uppercase. It's everything you can do to emphasize those 2 things: offensive tackles.
And the problem is, it just has been for so many years now.
Oh, that's the thing.
And nothing has happened.
Yeah, that's what's tough. So I guess we can kind of just wrap this thing up for a few minutes of conversation about, overall thoughts on the season. We kind of already hit on a lot of these things, I guess, in this video, but obviously with all of the talk about going around college football with transfer portals and those types of things, what are some things this season overall that your thoughts were 3-9? We went into this year with 9 of 11 returning defensive starters, a 4th-year starting quarterback, some pretty talented players at skill positions at running back.
A couple exciting guys off the portal.
Omar Manning coming in now, for a 2nd year, Torrey here. And then obviously you have Vokalek and Austin Allen, pretty solid or impressive, tight end room overall. We had a lot of assets to win games with, and we finished 3-9. So,
I can't believe how many times we choked.
Yeah, that's 101 right there. I mean,
there's nothing else to call it. It's not cursed. It's we folded under the pressure of trying to win a game.
Yeah. The second the thought was like, oh my word, we're doing this, we're winning. That was the second that we folded every single time.
And it took only one little piece of adversity to just fold like a old folding chair.
I know.
We just snap under pressure.
Well, that's 6 straight losses now. I mean, after the Northwestern
and
win.
Like Scott Frost talked about at the end of the game, he's like, we're human. Like those thoughts just creep into your head. Like, but at the same time, like,
you can't let the thoughts possess you.
No, and we did over and over and over and over and over again.
Like what's crazy to me is like we were the favorite. We were the favorite in the Illinois game. I mean, let's just talk Power 5. Illinois, Northwestern, Minnesota, and Iowa. Right?
And Wisconsin. We were favored in Wisconsin.
No, we're not favored in Wisconsin. No, Purdue.
We were for a while. Purdue, we were. Like we were. And we
lost all those games except for the Northwestern game. So what we were?
Northwestern
Illinois,
literally was just inept.
Yeah, Illinois, Minnesota, Purdue, and Iowa. We were 0-4 outside of Northwestern. So we were 1-4 against in Power 5 schools when we were favored. That's tough.
My thought is we had more talent than almost every other school, arguably besides Ohio State and Michigan. And for a half, Scott Frost would look like the better coach at some point in time, or a quarter. But then you have to accumulate the whole game, and especially the end of games. He wasn't the better coach. We had more talent than almost every team in the West. We had more offensive talent.
Yeah.
And
did we have more offensive talent than Illinois? Yes. Did we have more offensive talent than Northwestern? Yes. Do we have more offensive talent than Minnesota? Yes.
Yes.
Purdue? Yes.
Yes.
Iowa? Yes.
Yes.
Wisconsin's the only one you could argue.
Maybe because they're back, I guess.
Braylon Allen.
But then you look at
he's a 17-year-old freshman.
Yeah. And then again you weigh.
So then it all comes down to
all their other guys, like you weigh Graham Mertz, then you weigh all of their quarterback, like all their wide receivers. Yeah. And then sure, they were more talented at the running back spot in one specific area. And I'd say that, like obviously David Bell was a higher high than anybody else on our team. But like
if you wanted to argue, I'm cutting you off a lot, but do you want to argue athletically blessed? I mean, then I think it's undoubtedly the right argument. But like,
speed.
I mean, like even if you look at Bryce Benhart and Turner's like builds, they're built like elite tackles. Like they should be good. Like the mental, it's like it does feel like a breakdown of technique.
Because Benhart and Cochran those were like 4-star guys.
Yeah, they were elite prospects.
And just
it's crazy. I mean, they were wanted in the Big Ten. Those guys that were sought after in the Big Ten.
Wisconsin wanted Benhart. Like all those like schools did. But what's the difference is it was the coaching. And like it has to be what it boils down to yet again. Like, and our best players have been Riley guys.
Right. That's a tough argument too. It's like JoJo and Austin Allen and
Cam was recruited by Mike Riley. Like,
yeah, I mean he showed up with
he was Frost, but Riley got him.
Yeah, Stilley.
Cam stayed. Yeah, Stilley. Like our best guys were Mike Riley guys.
Dismuke, Deontay.
And a coach isn't just on the football field like the plays. Because again, if you only take Scott Frost sometime, his play design, like Scott Frost has some elite play design ability. He does.
Yeah, he has upside to be an elite play to call elite plays.
And some scheme stuff at some points, like on the creative play that'll get you yards, he's really good in that one area. But then you have to look at player development.
He can be a good coordinator. I mean, I truly think he's a good coordinator. Like if he was like, and it makes sense because he was a great coordinator. Like the question is, can he manage people? And can he make the important decisions for an organization's directive? And we haven't seen evidence for that
yet. Just with some of his responses, how he handles the spotlight, how he handles the pressure of coaching. Again, and just choking as many games as he has, it's just too much for the guy. And that's not saying he's not a good coach. But again, like you have to develop players. We have to do a good job recruiting, which you could say that he's pretty decent at. But this year's not going to be obviously the scholarship stuff. But also, they're not great players. And last year wasn't a great recruiting class either. just objectively. And then you look at what they've developed into, and that's not great as well.
And so, letting Wandale leave and letting him walk. And Wandale threw some shade at Scott Frost this week. If you caught that,
yeah, which is hilarious. Like, how do you let that guy go? Because he said, they said I wasn't a wide receiver. This dude had the most wide receiver yards in the SEC.
He just broke Kentucky's record,
single season record of most yards. He had 181 receiving yards in a single game. This dude scored one of the very few touchdowns against Georgia, the best defense we've seen maybe since Arnadamakin's Sioux Nebraska defense.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, again, it's like for a guy like that talented, you have to let him stay. You have to say whatever you want.
You have to say yes, Wandale. And to think, he's too short. No, Adrian sucked at throwing the football last year, and that was just so objective. And to say
Adrian was a lot better this year. He was a lot better.
He was better. And we were better at those long passes, and we tried to do that. Even with the worst offensive line, we were better at passing the ball, which is hilarious. Again, and that just shows some of Scott Frost can just get so stubborn. His stubborn.
Yeah, that's what gets tough. I think
he's so brittle as a coach. He won't change. He's not malleable. He's not adaptable, and it's so annoying. And again, it's just one of those things. It's just a character thing of head coach. The mentality, it goes to the team, and we saw it with Bo. We've seen it with all every coach that you look at. Either some coaches, some players. It doesn't feel
like Frost trusts himself when it's all on the line. That's kind of what it feels like.
He doesn't. And that doesn't instill the rest of everybody. Again, at aspects, yes, Scott Frost is a good coach. But as you take him in the whole, again, there's just so many things to grade down about him. You just can't objectively say he's a good coach. And again, football's about winning games. You can say, there's stats and everything else. Stats are just tools to help you win games.
For sure.
That all it is, because again, all football is about win and loss. And if you think it's about anything else, you're wrong. Obviously there's the teammate and the aspect. And as a kid, there's a lot more reasons than just winning. But as a coach, your job is to win the games.
For sure. The biggest question is what are we going to do next year to get this thing right? I mean, if Frost has one more season, he's obviously going to have to go all in. And we're going to talk more about this probably in future videos as well when the news actually starts breaking. So right now we're looking for coaching staffs, and we'll see what they can do in the portal. I mean, they've already mentioned multiple times that they want to really emphasize the portal. They've said that guys that can impact now. He's trying to advertise this thing to recruits out there.
Hey everyone, please.
The portal, the portal. So it'll be interesting to see where Frost is at quarterback wise. Obviously, two big, huge names just announced that they're looking at the portal, and that's Taylor Gabe. That's Dylan Gabriel.
Dylan
Gabriel from UCF.
We know your name. We promise. Come here, please.
We do. We promise. And of course, the absolute GOAT himself, Spencer Rattler, announced that he is transferring from Oklahoma. So we have UCF and Oklahoma. We have those options there. Obviously, Logan Smothers is an option. So those are all things that Frost is gonna have to be considering these next few weeks. Not to mention coaching staffs, obviously going to be ironed out here as the bowl games start getting going. The obviously the championship games this weekend. Somehow Iowa ended up in the freaking Big Ten championship. From those coaches? But yeah, that's the thing. I mean, we're gonna have to see what happens with the coaches. Obviously, Mickey Joseph has kind of been the guy that's highlighted so far as a wide receivers coach, which I think everyone would be excited to see from LSU. Yeah. Justin Jefferson, he has a nice repertoire there with Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson and
those
all
are
of those
pretty good wide receivers, I'd say.
Yeah, that worked out pretty good. So, we'll see what happens moving forward. I think that'd be a great hire. Offensive coordinators, the rumors so far haven't been great by any means, but we'll see, man. It's going to be interesting. And we'll be keeping our tabs on that one moving forward as well. And like I said, I think circling those big issues. And then we did put out a little tweet. Follow us on Twitter, Backseat Sports YT, or BS Sports YT on Twitter. We put out a little tweet all right, looking at next year's schedule, what are you guys seeing? What's your guys' requirements for Frost to keep his job? And it looks like a lot of you guys are saying, it's in that 6 to 8 win range. A lot of people are saying 8 though. So we'll see. I mean, that's going to be the target for next year with the schedule. We'll do a full video on that probably here in the next
tripling your wins
in the next 2 weeks. To another.
That is a tall order.
Exactly. So we got the Cornies coming up this week.
Dude, I'm so excited.
This is going to be a blast. And we'll be putting some players on blast in that game. And we'll be worshiping the others. And then we'll be talking about
Turner
the
Cochran,
coaches.
does he need a tier of his own? Do we need a new category?
He might need a tier of his own. But literally, it's
Iowa
going to be
corn?
wild. Yeah, Turner Corn. And then we'll get into like the offseason stuff, recruiting, and we might even do some big, I don't know, maybe we'll dapple with some Big Ten stuff as well. Obviously, we got the Big Ten Championship this week. You know, go Michigan.
Yeah, go blue.
Go blue. Go blue. And we'll see what happens, man. It's going to be crazy. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. Drop all your thoughts down below on where Nebraska's at, your guys' thoughts, where we can get to, and what Frost needs to do in this offseason, what quarterback you want to see, and what's your requirements for Frost heading into next year. We want to hear all of your thoughts down below. We appreciate you guys for tuning in. This is going to be an interesting offseason for Nebraska, and probably a lot more negative than many, and we'll see what happens heading into
hopefully we can
spring.
get some positives. Like we kill it in the transfer portal. We get some insane coaches.
Yeah.
But think about we have to implement new playbooks and stuff with new offensive coordinators.
It'll be crazy. So who knows?
It's gonna be a big season. It's a big season.
It is. And there's a lot to talk about. So like, comment, subscribe, share it if you guys really enjoy. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an upload. So you know exactly when this thing went live. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. And again, it's crazy. So I'm Josh. That's Caleb. This has been Backseat Sports, and guys, we will see you next time.
Go Big Red.
Go Big Red, baby. Let's go.